My stepson stole my identity to buy a gaming PC, then mocked me when I found out. I called the police, blocked delivery, and made his father face the consequences. His stream died. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reddit Visuals. You know what's wild? I used to think that the worst betrayals came from strangers. Turns out, the people who share your dinner table are often the ones who'll gut you the deepest and smile while doing it. I'm a 43-year-old man, and I've lived a pretty quiet life until recently. I work in security, manage a cybersecurity team remotely, and spend most of my off time either reading, working on my motorcycle, or spoiling my rescue dogs. No wild parties, no drama. I've always been a problem solver, the type who fixes digital breaches before they become disasters. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for the chaos my stepson brought into my life. Let's rewind. I married my wife Sarah 5 years ago. We were both divorced, both cautious, and both tired of dating apps. She had a then 13-year-old son named Kyle from her previous marriage. Kyle was awkward, quiet, but seemed decent enough. A little too obsessed with gaming and streaming, but hey, teenagers, right? I never tried to be the cool stepdad. I gave him space. I showed up at his basketball games, helped with homework when asked, treated him fairly. His biological dad was mostly out of the picture, lived 3 states away, sent child support irregularly, called maybe once a month. From what Sarah told me, he'd been flaking in and out of Kyle's life since the divorce when Kyle was 8. Fast forward to Kyle turning 18 this past spring. The shift wasn't subtle. It was like a switch flipped. He got bolder, more entitled. He'd challenge everything I said, roll his eyes during family discussions, and started treating our house like his personal gaming cafe. The first red flag? I came home from a security audit and found Kyle in my home office using my work laptop. Not just using it, he had multiple browser tabs open with my work VPN active, accessing company systems. I'm talking about a laptop with access to client databases, security protocols, and sensitive corporate information. This wasn't some personal device. This was my livelihood. Kyle, what the hell are you doing? He barely looked up from whatever game he was streaming. Relax, man. My setup's lagging. I'm just borrowing this for a few hours. You're accessing my work network. You could get me fired. He shrugged. I didn't touch anything important. I immediately logged him out, changed all my passwords, and enabled 2-factor authentication on everything. I told Sarah what happened. Her response? Well, you probably should have asked before you went into his space. His space. My office had become his space. Things escalated quickly after that. Kyle started pushing boundaries like it was his full-time job. He'd use my tools without asking, eat food I'd specifically bought for work lunches, and blast music until 3 a.m. on weeknights. When I'd address it, Sarah would defend him with, he's still adjusting to having a stepdad, or boys will be boys. But the real wake-up call came 6 weeks ago. I was reviewing our credit card statements, something I do religiously because, hello, cybersecurity professional, when I noticed some weird charges. Small ones at first. $9.99 here, $19.99 there. Gaming platforms I'd never heard of. Then bigger ones. $99 for some creator package. $249 for streaming equipment. By the time I added it all up, nearly $3,400 in unauthorized charges over 2 months. I pulled up the account details online, and that's when I saw it. Someone had requested a secondary card on my account. The application showed my personal information, my social security number, my employment details. But the name on the secondary card? Kyle Morrison. He hadn't just used my credit card. He had applied for his own card using my identity, my credit history, my financial information. That's not credit card fraud. That's full-blown identity theft. I confronted Sarah first, hoping there was some explanation. Maybe she'd co-signed something and forgot to tell me. No, she said, looking confused. I didn't authorize anything. Are you sure it wasn't a mistake? I showed her the application, showed her Kyle's signature, which I recognized from homework assignments and birthday cards, showed her the delivery address, our house. Her face went white. We called Kyle downstairs. The moment he walked into the kitchen and saw us both standing there with printouts spread across the counter, his whole demeanor changed. The cocky teenager persona disappeared, replaced by something much more calculating. "So," I said, keeping my voice steady, "want to explain this?" He glanced at the papers, then back at me. And then, "I swear this is true." He smiled. "I mean, technically I used accurate information. Everything on there is true. You used my social security number." "Yeah, but I put my name on it. So it's not like I was pretending to be you." The audacity was breathtaking. Sarah jumped in, trying to mediate, but Kyle cut her off. "Look, you make good money, right? And you're always saying, I should be more responsible with finances. Well, I got my own card. Problem solved." "Problem solved?" I stared at him. "Kyle, this is identity theft. This is a federal crime." He laughed. Actually laughed. "What are you going to do? Call the cops on your own family?" That's when I realized I was raising a criminal. Not going to happen. "Yes," I said. "That's exactly what I'm going to do." The smirk vanished. Sarah tried to stop me, but I was already dialing. The officer who took my report was thorough, especially when I mentioned I work in cybersecurity and had digital forensics experience. I'd already pulled IP logs, timestamps, browser history. Everything pointed to Kyle accessing my personal information from his gaming setup while I was at work. But Kyle wasn't done digging his hole deeper. The next evening he went live on Twitch. I only found out because my nephew texted me, "Dude, is this your stepkid? He's going off about you on stream." I clicked the link and watched my stepson tell his 400-something viewers about his psycho stepdad who was trying to ruin his life over a stupid credit card. Like, this dude works in tech, right? Makes bank. And he's crying about me spending what, $3,000? That's pocket change to him. But no, he has to be all dramatic and call the police like I robbed a bank or something. His chat was eating it up. Comments like, "toxic family," and "stepdads are the worst," rolling by. But then Kyle said something that made my blood run cold. Honestly, I should have taken more. Dude's got like 6 different cards, and I know all his passwords. He uses the same one for everything. His dog's name plus his birth year. Amateur hour. I screen recorded everything. Every insult, every admission, every detail he shared about my personal information and security habits. But I still wasn't done. You see, Kyle's big purchase, the one that put him over the edge, was a $2,800 custom gaming PC build. RGB everything. Liquid cooling. The works. He'd been bragging about it for weeks, telling everyone how his stream was about to go viral with his new setup. The PC was set to deliver the following Monday. I called the vendor, provided the police case number, and explained the situation. They were actually grateful. Identity theft cases can hurt their business relationships with credit card processors. They canceled the order immediately and flagged Kyle's information in their system. But the real kicker? The chargeback process. When you dispute fraudulent charges, the bank doesn't just reverse them, they investigate. And Kyle's bank account, which had been receiving the refunded overpayments from when he'd return items bought with my card. Frozen pending investigation. His Twitch payout, which was set to auto-deposit to that account, blocked, and his streaming equipment rental agreement, which was tied to that same account, canceled for insufficient funds. Sarah was devastated when she realized the scope of what Kyle had done. But even then, her first instinct was to protect him. "He's just a kid," she kept saying. "He didn't understand the consequences." "Sarah, he's 18. He's an adult, and he absolutely understood what he was doing." The breaking point came when Kyle tried to blame me for ruining his future. 3 days after his stream meltdown, I came home to find Kyle in the kitchen, ranting to Sarah about how I'd sabotaged him. "He's trying to destroy my streaming career before it even starts. Do you know how hard I've worked to build my following?" I walked in just as he said, "Maybe he's jealous because I'm actually doing something with my life instead of sitting in an office all day." I looked at this kid, this young man who had stolen my identity, mocked me publicly, and was now trying to play victim. And I realized something. This wasn't immaturity. This wasn't teenage rebellion. This was entitlement. This was someone who genuinely believed the world owed him whatever he wanted. "Kyle," I said very quietly, "you stole my identity to buy gaming equipment, then bragged about it on the internet. You're not the victim here." He rolled his eyes. "Whatever, man. When my streaming takes off, I'll pay you back. When your streaming takes off? I pulled out my phone. You mean this streaming career? I showed him his Twitch page. Account suspended. All past streams removed. Partnership status revoked. His face went ash gray. What did you do? I didn't do anything. Twitch has a zero-tolerance policy for broadcasters who admit to financial crimes on stream. They have automated systems that flag content for legal review. The truth was, I'd also sent them the clip of him admitting to identity theft and bragging about knowing my passwords. But Twitch would have found it eventually anyway. Kyle exploded, started screaming about how I'd ruined his life, how I was a bitter old man who couldn't stand seeing him succeed. Sarah tried to calm him down, but he turned on her too. And you? You're just going to stand there and let him destroy your own son's future? Kyle, Sarah said, tears in her eyes, what you did was wrong. So you're choosing him over me? The silence that followed was deafening. That night, Sarah and I had the hardest conversation of our marriage. I love Kyle, she said, but I can't excuse this, and I can't protect him from consequences anymore. The legal process took 4 months. Kyle was charged with identity theft and fraudulent use of credit cards. Because he was 18, and the amount was over $3,000, it was a felony. His lawyer tried to negotiate a plea deal, but Kyle refused to admit wrongdoing. He insisted he was being persecuted and that I was just vindictive. The judge wasn't impressed. Kyle got 2 years probation, 200 hours of community service, and has to pay full restitution. His record will show the conviction for 7 years. But the social consequences were almost worse. Word spread through Kyle's friend group about what happened. His girlfriend broke up with him. His gaming buddies distanced themselves. His college acceptance was withdrawn after they ran a background check for their gaming program. Sarah tried to maintain a relationship with him, but Kyle blamed her for not protecting him. He moved in with his biological father, who lasted exactly 3 weeks before calling Sarah to say, I can't handle him, he needs serious help. Kyle bounced between relatives for a while, finally landing with his grandmother. Last I heard, he's working at a GameStop and trying to rebuild his online presence under a different name. Sarah and I went to counseling. It was rough. She felt guilty for not setting boundaries earlier. I felt guilty for how far things had to go before anyone took it seriously. But we're still together. Stronger, actually. Because we learned something important. Enabling bad behavior isn't love. It's just delayed consequences. A few months ago, Kyle sent me an email. Not an apology, a demand. You ruined my life over money you don't even need. The least you can do is help me pay for community college. I forwarded it to my lawyer and blocked his email address. Some people learn from consequences. Others just get angry that consequences exist. Kyle apparently is in the second category. But here's what I want you to understand. This wasn't about the money. This was about respect, about boundaries, about the difference between making mistakes and making choices. Kyle didn't accidentally use my credit card. He didn't stumble into identity theft. He planned it, executed it, bragged about it, and then tried to make me the villain for holding him accountable. And when faced with consequences, instead of taking responsibility, he doubled down and tried to destroy my reputation to protect his own. That's not a mistake. That's character. So here's my question for you. Was I wrong to press charges against my stepson? Should I have just eaten the financial loss to keep family peace? Or was I right to show him that actions have consequences, even when, especially when, it's family? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what you would have done in my situation. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to Reddit Visuals. It really helps the channel grow, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen. Thanks for watching.